But first, for about 2 weeks now, shows such as this one and many other media groups have been asking the Treasurer's office for details on who will be invited to their glorified job summit. We've done it for weeks. And surprise, surprise, the Treasurer's staff have left it until virtually the day before the event to publicly reveal who's got a golden ticket. It had an embargo on the release, you see, which effectively prevented any reportage until today. That leaves very little time for us to properly scrutinise the guest list and who should be sitting in the Great Hall. And that's how you successfully reduce political criticism and fallout. The summit spin doctors are hard at work. But Opposition Leader Peter Dutton was right today to call it a union summit, because I've calculated no less than 35 union representatives will be attending tomorrow. 35. It's so outrageously disproportionate to the influence and representation unions now have in this country.
The union representation in the workforce at the moment is less than 10%, and yet we've got 33 union officials sitting around a table of 142. So I think this union summit really is going to be top-heavy.
Top heavy, all right. If the government was fair income about this and about how much of a say the union movement deserves at any employment-related meeting, they'd have 14 invited. That's 10%. 14, not 35. Have no doubt that this is, as Peter Dutton says, a union summit, and it's about jobs and wages, not a job summit on skills and training. And when you crunch down into the actual invitees on the list, it is really a farce. The ACTU has not 1, but 5 seats at the table. Now, they could have invited the key national unions who understand the detail and the variations in workforces in states and territories. Oh, but they did that and then some. They extended the invite list to include state-based unions as well. What a totally redundant exercise to no doubt placate those valued donors of the Labor Party. And that's what this is all about. You got us here. We thank you for that. And here's your golden ticket in appreciation. 35 seats. But the Treasurer, of course, has a very different interpretation of who's converging on Canberra. And I've got to say, it was almost laughable.
And it's a difficult balance to strike. And I have fielded more calls in the last 2 or 3 weeks and text messages than probably at any other time. And that's because people are clamouring to be part of this. And that's a good thing. The reality is you can't invite everyone that you would like to invite. You've got to make some difficult decisions when you're putting together the invitation list. Have we got it perfectly right? Who knows?
I know. He's right. He is far from perfect because it's union heavy by miles. What did they have to get it down from 60 unionists down to 35, did they? And that's what Labor does at these times, despite the movement, the union movement, representing fewer and fewer Australian workers. They get a disproportionate share of power from the Labor Party. And as I've said many times leading up to this talkfest, when you've got full employment, you don't need an expensive crisis summit on jobs with way too many union reps present, because it becomes a grab for higher wages at a time when we can least afford it. They need an immigration summit. That'd be a better bet to determine which workers should be allowed into the country, how many should be here, and how to process work visas 20 times faster than they do right now. Oh, and how about a grown-up cabinet conversation where ministers face the reality that they need to reform the job seeker scheme as well, to force some of the 800,000 unemployed to go out and get a job? Because with 480,000 job vacancies and that many on the dole, well, we've clearly made the payment way too comfortable than it should be. Too comfortable to compromise on taking what's on offer in terms of a job. Will the Job Summit look at that? No way, Jose.